Sometimes God will give you an experience of his presence just to see what you do with it.
That's good. That's good.
Sometimes God will heal someone in a divine way just to see, does this mean anything to you? Because if it does, I'll give you more. But if it doesn't, I'll go and find someone who will learn to steward what is holy to me. For those of you who don't believe me, let me prove this to you. You remember the story of the burning bush?
Yeah.
Let's go through it real quick. Moses is in the wilderness. He's tending to the sheep of Jethro. And he is walking one day and he sees a burning bush. Now, I've talked to people who live in that part of the world. And do you know that the burning bush was not uncommon? Did you know that? It was actually usual in that part of the world that certain bushes had a sap inside of them that would actually combust because of the heat and set them on fire. I know people who live in Israel right now who say that this is a real thing and it takes place. So the Bible actually proves this to us, because watch this. The Bible does not say that Moses stopped and turned aside because it was on fire. The Bible says when he saw that it was not consumed, he turned aside. The Bible says Moses stopped, and when he saw the bush was not consumed, he turned aside, and a voice came from the bush. Now here's what's interesting. The Bible actually says that God looked and saw that Moses turned aside. Then his voice came. The picture we are displayed here is actually this. God is watching, what will you do with this burning bush? He sees it's not consumed, and then he turns aside and gives attention to it. For it is a picture of the Lord displaying his presence in the midst of us, and he's watching, what will you do with it? He's waiting to see what is the response of the people when I manifest myself in the midst of them. What will your response be when I come to you in a special way in your prayer closet? Will you give attention to that and lean into it, or will you treat it as common? Because if you do, friend, I promise you this, it won't happen many more times. So Moses gives attention to this burning bush, and the Lord encounters Moses, and it changes the course of his entire life. Why? Because he gave attention to what God was doing. When you give attention to the things of God, you become more susceptible to God bringing them to you. And I would also say that when you give attention to the things of God, you become more receptive to the things of the Lord.